Hi everybody, this is Christa with the Big Family Homestead, and today I've got another bread recipe that you can put in your stack of recipes for many different things. That's what I love about this particular recipe. It can be used for many different things. So today I'm going to show you Amish white sandwich bread. It can be used for loaves, cinnamon rolls, monkey bread, dinner rolls, you name it, you can use it. So this recipe is, again, this is one you're going to want to hang on to. This is going to be your go-to recipe when folks say, hey, why don't you bring over dinner rolls? You will get asked back every single time when you bring these dinner rolls. I've made thousands of these dinner rolls, let's just say that. So, and I know that seems like an exaggeration, but it's really not. I have literally made thousands of these dinner rolls, and folks ask me every time, oh, can you bring dinner rolls? Can you bring dinner rolls? Whenever we're going somewhere, bring dinner rolls, please, please, please. So this is going to be one for the books. This is going to be your top bread recipe that you'll go to. Now for ingredients, we're going to use 4 cups of water, 1 1/3 cup of sugar. Yes, I said 1 1/3 cup. Then we're going to use 3 tablespoons of dry active yeast, half a stick of butter, a half a cup of butter, which is 1 full stick, 1 tablespoon of salt, and 10 to 12 cups of flour. I know that's a lot of flour, but I'll explain why. All right, the first step in our recipe is we're going to get our yeast proofing. So we've got 4 cups of warm water. It's not like too hot. It's warm, okay? You don't want it too hot. Too hot, you'll kill your yeast. Too cold, and your bread it will not activate your yeast. So we're gonna go ahead and dissolve our sugar. And I forgot my Dutch whisk over there. So I'm going to dissolve this so slowly. I'll be back when this is dissolved. The sugar is now finally dissolved. I did use an organic cane sugar. That's why the water is a little yellow. You can use white sugar if you want. You can even use honey. It's just, you need a sweetener. The amount of the sweetener is quite a bit. However, there's a reason for that. This sweetener in here makes it the best bread ever. I'm just telling you. So now we need 3 tablespoons of yeast, and what I'll do is I'll just sprinkle this right here on top, just like so, and I'll give it a little bit. Come on, get out of there. Just wants to stick in there. I'm just going to whisk it just a little bit, just to kind of get all of the yeast wet. But I'm not going to overwork this. I'm just going to get this yeast wet, and then I'm going to leave it alone. So we're going to let this sit for just a couple minutes, and then we will start by adding our butter and then a little bit of flour and get this going, okay? So give us a few minutes, be back, and you'll see the yeast activated. All right, as you can see in our bowl here, it's starting to get bubbly. We're gonna go ahead and add our flour before we add our salt. We're gonna go ahead and add I'm gonna add like 5 cups of flour, just so that we can get it incorporated really nicely. I am fluffing up the flour so it's not a heavy scoop of flour. That's 3. I have a hard time counting and talking at the same time. So this is 4 and number 5. So then we're going to we've got our flour on top of our bread, or on top of our water. No, we don't have bread yet. That's what we're working on, right? And 1 tablespoon of salt. You can use whatever salt you like. If you want it less salt, the salt actually isn't even really necessary. It does add some flavor to it, but it's not really necessary because this is more of a sweet bread. So we're just going to go ahead and mix this. So if you want to use less salt, by all means, you can use less salt. I just have found that the 1 tablespoon works for this particular recipe. Now, if this is too much of a batch for you, you can, well, our cookbook, our first cookbook, our family favorites, has this recipe in it. And I did double what was in the cookbook. So the original recipe is half of this, but I wanted to make a larger batch to show you the many different ways that we can manipulate this bread, which is awesome. And this video and all of the bread videos and all of the sauces and the preparedness videos, these videos are for us to help motivate you to do these things. To make things at home from scratch. We're not always going to be able to buy a loaf of bread from the store, or it's going to cost $8. Well, right now, I think a loaf of bread, the cheap loaf of bread is like maybe $1.50. Sometimes you can get them $1, but for good bread, it's $4 or $5. And it's ridiculous. And so say the artisan bread that I make, those are $4, $5, $6, $7, $8 already. And you can make them at home for less than 50 cents. So we're going to get this nice and smooth. And then we're going to add a cup of flour, probably 2 cups of flour next. I forgot to add the butter. I'm going to add the butter right now before I get any further. So I've got 1 stick of melted butter. If you want to use coconut oil, you can use coconut oil. If you want to use olive oil, go ahead. Vegetable oil, that's fine too. I've done that. I like the flavor of the bread, or I like the flavor of the bread with butter being used instead. So we're going to mix this in before we get any further. See what happens. This is not Hollywood, folks. This is not Food Network. Not at all. We don't have millions of people walking around doing everything for you. I'm doing this by myself. So get that incorporated. We're going to add some more flour. And again, we're fluffing this up so it's not heavy. There's 2. So we're at 7 cups of flour right now. And we will add between 10 and 12 cups, depending on the humidity in the air. It's a cool day. I do have the windows open. The heat is off because the sun is shining. It's absolutely gorgeous. So when the sun is shining in the house, it gets pretty warm in here. So I open up a couple of windows even when it's 40 degrees outside, or even colder. Because I'm at that stage of my life where my thermostat is broken. And I need it cooler in the house, so, which is torment for the rest of the family. All right. Now, all right, we're gonna add a couple more cups of flour. So 7, 8, 9. And we're gonna keep going, and I'll keep incorporating flour, and we'll come back when it's close to being time to knead it. All right, now we need to dig in with our hands. I'm up to 11 cups of flour, and it's getting a little difficult to mix with the Dutch whisk. So now it's time to dig in, get your hands dirty. If you have a stand mixer that can hold this amount, great. That would be ideal because this is a lot of dough. I generally, when our KitchenAid was working, it's broken now. It needs a new worm drive or something like that. I can't remember. When it was working, I could put this amount in there, but it was struggling. That's probably why we need a new worm drive. So I can put this amount in our Bosch mixer, but I wanted to show you what it looks like when you're not using a mixer. So as you can see, it's taking all that 11 cups of flour in. There's still a little bit on the bottom, but that's okay. It will work into it. This is a little bit more difficult than the smaller amount, but that's okay. It's a good arm workout. Take your aggression out on the dough when you're irritated with what the government's doing, or what your kids are doing or not doing. make this, get irritated with the bread. Ooh, now it's getting a little sticky. I need to add a little bit more to the top. Not too much, because we don't want to add too much flour. Too much flour and it'll become a brick. And I've made plenty of bricks. And see, I'm just turning the bowl and just kind of folding it in half. I will put it out on the counter here in a minute, because the bowl is getting a little small. So let me go ahead and move this and this and this. And let's just let's put some flour on the counter here, just so that it doesn't stick. And get this cleaned out, put it on top. There we go. Now this, when it's on the counter, I basically just fold and turn, just like what I'm doing in the bowl, but I'm using my hand. And I'm sure that there is the professional way to do this. This is how I learned. So it works for me. You find what works for you. As long as the dough gets kneaded, we're fine. All right, so I've got a lot stuck to my hand still. Not, I guess I shouldn't say a lot. There's some. I'm gonna just kind of fold that in there. And we're just gonna keep kneading this until it's a nice smooth dough. It's just about there. So we only needed a little over 11 cups of flour. Oh, see, there was a spot there that had some dry flour in it, so we've got to mix that in. We don't want that. We don't want big pockets of flour in our dough. So we got to keep mixing. And we may need to add a little bit to the top here because it's just a touch sticky. But maybe if I just flip it around, you just got to work with it. There we go. It's that pushing and pulling, and that's what helps develop the gluten, not the gluten. I don't remember what Paul Hollywood calls it. I learned a little bit from him. Not too much. I don't watch a lot of TV, but a long time ago when I was learning how to make bread, I watched some of his videos. And I remember one video he said that his father taught him how to make bread, I believe. His father said, if you're not using both hands to knead the bread, then you only get paid half. So he always used both hands. All right, so we're good. It's a touch sticky, but that's okay. It's not, it's kind of holding its shape here. So we press down, it springs back up, which is what we want. So we're gonna put this into a greased bowl, cover it with plastic, and leave it sit for an hour in a warm place. And then we'll come back and I'll divide this out and show you what we're gonna do next. All right, folks, so we waited our hour, and you can see I actually increased the size of the bowl. The bowl that I was using to knead it all in was half the size of this bowl. This makes a lot of dough, okay? So we're gonna we're gonna put it onto a floured counter, lightly floured. We're gonna divide this into 4 pieces. So here we go. We're gonna move this over here, put some flour down on the counter. And then we're gonna put this out on the counter here. There's a lot of it, as you can see. So, since I greased the bowl, actually what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna knock this down here real quick because it is super big. I don't want it to flop all over the stove here. I don't have a very big workspace here to where you can see everything. So, there we go. All right, now we're gonna go ahead and put a little bit more flour on top, and we're gonna knead this just a little bit, not a lot. just so that it's not sticky. It was a little bit sticky just because it had been rising for so long. But that's okay. We're just gonna knock the air out of this, and then we'll divide this into 4. Okay, so there we go. We got a nice, smooth, humongous ball of dough here. So we're just gonna divide this into 4. And if you want to be not super picky, but exact with your measurements, you can measure these on a scale so that you have the exact amount of dough divided into 4. These should be about, I can't remember, maybe a pound and a half. I'll get my scale here in a second to tell you how big these are. But I'm just going to divide these out, put them in a, roll them over, and I'm going to set them over here where I've put some grease just so that it doesn't stick. And then I'll put some plastic over it while we work with all the different steps. And that way it doesn't dry out. But we'll get these rolled over here real quick. And then we'll get the scale and we'll see how much these weigh so that you know about how much this should be. So, be right back. Okay, so we've got our scale. I put a bowl on top just to keep the scale clean. And I've got it zeroed out with the weight of the bowl. So this one is 1 pound 7 ounces. So I was not too far off. 1 pound 7 ounces. Boy, I got it exact there, didn't I? This is 1 pound 9 ounces. And this one is a bit heavier. So I'm going to take some of this one off and some of the other one off, because I want them to be just about the same. 1.8, there we go. 1.9. I may leave one of them slightly bigger. That one will be for the monkey bread. 1.8, good. And actually, I'll just cut this into 2. That's 2 ounces. Done. We'll just live with that. It doesn't have to be an exact amount. So now what we're gonna do, get this out of the way. Cover these with plastic so they don't dry out. All right, now for the cinnamon rolls. We've got our dough. We've got our floured counter. We're gonna place this here. We're gonna sprinkle a little flour on top. And then we will roll this into a rectangle. Move these things out of the way here. We need a little bit more space for this. I usually make them on the bigger counter back there, but that's not easily visible for you. So we're just gonna make this work. So just gonna roll this out into a rectangle as it slides across the counter. Isn't that great? Don't you love movie magic? I probably have too much flour on the counter. So let's see. Let's take a little bit of this away. All right. Now, roll this. Try and roll it into a rectangle. That would be nice. Rolling it nice and flat. If you need to let it rest, let it rest. Wipe away some of this flour. Because it's obviously not sticking to the counter enough to roll out properly. So we'll keep going with this. All right, let's move over here. My rolling pin is very old, and the pins keep coming out of the end. Very frustrating. All right, starting to work there. Might be time to get a marble one or a better one. Who knows? There we go. All right, this is not quite a rectangle, but it's close enough. Okay, so we're just gonna let this rest. We're just gonna let this rest right here. Just let that go. Okay, Now, we're going to take our butter. You can come upstairs, Caleb. It's okay. We're going to take our butter here, and we're just going to smear this all over the dough. It does not have to be pretty. Not at all. We're just going to smear. And this was softened butter. I actually had melted it, but it's been sitting on the counter for a little bit so that it kind of hardened up a little bit, which actually worked out better than just having melted butter, because melted butter kind of runs, where this actually is kind of staying in place. So try and get all of the edges like so. There we go. Try and get as much butter out of that bowl as possible. There we go. Now, again, like with the monkey bread the other day, you can make this pretty versatile. You can put nuts and raisins in this, or you can use whatever you like. So what I like to do is I like to sprinkle brown sugar all over it. The brown sugar just seems to make a nicer syrup on the bottom. So my brown sugar is kind of hard here. That's okay. Brutus, man, you can't have this. You need to go lay down. Brutus is our St. Bernard, who is massive. And he knows I'm in the kitchen, and he knows I'm cooking. Yeah, lay down. Lay down. Good boy. He's a big boy. He's about 160 pounds. So, and he's such a sweet dog. So I take a big clump of brown sugar. There's no measurement for this. It's whatever you like to put onto your cinnamon rolls. I just kind of give it a good coating like this. And I make a humongous mess doing it too. But, you know, the mess is really worth it because these cinnamon rolls are ridiculous. Oh, goodness. Boy, I really am making a mess here. That's okay. It's worth it. All right, we'll just kind of spread this to the sides here because I've got quite a bit of brown sugar on here. Clean up the mess there. And then we're going to take our cinnamon, just straight cinnamon, not cinnamon sugar. Just plain cinnamon. And then we'll take a couple of tablespoons of this and just sprinkle it liberally on the top here. And okay, so if you're not a fan of cinnamon, you could actually make these with nutmeg. Our daughter-in-law is allergic to cinnamon, so whenever I make cinnamon rolls when they're here, I make a batch of nutmeg rolls for her. So there, that looks perfect. Then I take my hand and just kind of stir it on, just kind of mix it up onto the dough here, just like so. Make sure it's spread even. Now I'll come over here to the long side. This is kind of the longer side. Let me give that a good stretch. There we go. That works good. And then we're going to just roll this like our loaf of bread. We're just going to roll it like a log. Just like so. I'm not having to pinch it. It's just going to kind of, just got to keep rolling till you get all the way to the other edge. Missed a piece there. Break those up. And this batch, this roll here will make 12 cinnamon rolls as well. There we go. I'm going to turn this way. No, I won't, because it won't fit that way. We'll take our dough blade. It's got flour on it. And then we need our pan. Let me swap spots here with this stuff. Put the pan right here. All right, now to cut this, to make sure we have enough to make a whole pan full, I'm gonna divide it in half. That way then I kind of have even-ish pieces. Now the ends here, I actually cut those ends off because there's no stuff in that. There's nothing there. So I'll just toss those. So I cut the ends off so we have even amounts. So then I need 6 out of here and 6 out of here. I guess that's even. I can't tell from this side. I usually do it this way. So I'll do half, and then I need 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, like that. So they're about even. And you know what? They're never gonna be exactly even. They're not made with a machine. It's human creation here. So then we take our cinnamon rolls, put them on their sides into the pan. Let me move this. We slide these over just a hair. Oh no, we're losing our stuff. There we go. That's all right. So very carefully, just put these into the pan. Start with the corners and then work our way to the middle. Just like so. Yes, yes, yes. These are delightful. I'm going to take this big one and move the big one there and put the little one in the corner there. I'll do the same thing here. Put that big one there. There we go. Oh, let's put this side up. We want the pretty side up. Just like that. All right? So now again, like with the monkey bread we did the other day, we can cover this with plastic and put it in the refrigerator. So if you're going to make this for Thanksgiving morning, Christmas morning, whichever, or anytime, even a Saturday morning, whatever, cover it with plastic, put it in the refrigerator overnight, and then to bake it, you pull it out, let it rest while the oven is heating up, 350 degrees or 350 degrees, bake it for about 25 to 30 minutes. Not too terribly long because you don't want it to burn on the bottom, but you want them nice and golden brown on top. So we're gonna let these rise. You can let them rise for about a half an hour if you're gonna bake them tonight. Half hour, 45 minutes. You want them to be doubled in size. So we're gonna do that. We're gonna cover these with plastic and then we'll let these rise and we'll bake them for you and I'll see how they look. All right, everybody. So we have allowed our cinnamon rolls to rise. It took a little bit longer, sometimes takes a little bit longer depending on your environment. If it's cooler, it'll take longer. If it's warmer, it might take less time. So I actually put these in a warm oven and they rose and they're more than double the size, which is awesome. So look at those. Look at that. Don't those look delicious? I can't wait. Cinnamon rolls are one of our favorites. So I'm going to go ahead and bake these in a 350 degree oven for about 20 to 25 minutes. Just as long as they get some golden brown on top. You don't want them too long because then they'll be really hard and they could burn on the bottom. So middle of the oven, 350 degrees for about 20 to 25 minutes. And then you'll have these delicious cinnamon rolls. Can't wait. Okay, folks. Cinnamon rolls are ready. Oh boy. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Oh man. Look at that. Do those look delightful or what? These are so delicious. Brad actually, even my husband Brad, if you're watching for the first time, he actually says that these are better than the name brand cinnamon rolls that you get at airports and malls and things like that. These are ridiculous. Let's get one out of the pan. I'll show you what they look like on the inside. I am going to use 4 cups of powdered sugar because I'm doubling the recipe because I have cinnamon rolls and monkey bread. I know that's probably kind of confusing. You can half it. It's 2 cups of powdered sugar normally for one recipe. That's a big chunk of powdered sugar. Look at that. It'll break up. Don't worry. So 3 and 4. Now, set that there. Now for this, or to this, we're going to add 1 stick of melted butter. I forgot a spatula. You gotta have a spatula. So 1 cup, or sorry, not 1 cup, 1/2 cup of melted butter, which is 1 stick of butter. And I use salted butter. You don't have to use salted butter, you can use unsalted. And then we're gonna use 1/2 cup of milk. All right. And then we're gonna whisk this till it's nice and smooth with no lumps, especially that big one. I know that 4 cups of powdered sugar and that little bit of melted butter and milk doesn't seem like it would be the right amount, but it is. It works out just perfectly. So we're just gonna whisk this where there's no more lumps of powdered sugar. Now, before I finish that, I'm gonna go ahead and add my secret ingredient. My secret ingredient is orange oil. I use doTERRA. You don't have to use doTERRA, but use a good tasting essential oil. You can use lemon, you can use orange. I prefer our whole family prefers the orange. So we're gonna put in here about 40 drops of the oil here. So we're gonna go ahead and count 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40. That's about 40. Could have been more. Could have been less. If it doesn't taste orangey enough, I will add a few more drops. We'll go ahead and mix this in. Oh, that looks so good. And smells even better. I can smell the orange oil. Oh, so good. All right, give this a taste. Not a lot, just a tiny bit. That's all you need. Perfect. All right, I think this one right here in the corner, I like the corner ones because it'll have some of the crunchy around the outside. First ones are always harder to get out. Let me grab a fork. I'll need a fork anyway. So let's grab a fork. There we go. Look at that. Look at that. Make sure I'm gonna show you the bottom. Nice and gooey. And actually, I have in the past, I've actually put some butter and some cinnamon and sugar and walnuts on the bottom, or pecans you can put on there. And that just makes a super gooey bottom. I just forgot to do that this time. All right. Now we need, let's move this over here. Bring this here and grab our icing that we made. The family devoured the monkey bread. So this is what was left after the monkey bread was gone. And so this frosting is a little cooler because I took it out of the refrigerator a few minutes ago. But on that hot cinnamon roll, you can already see that it's melting already. It's gonna get super gooey here. Oof, so yummy. All right, spread that around a little bit. Take a nice bite of that. It's a little crunchy on the top there. Love the little crunch. Ooh, yummy. It's gonna be hot. So worth it. That orange that's in there pops out a little bit. The cinnamon. You guys, the family is very happy when I make these, but then not so happy when I make these because they want more. And so I don't make these very often because we'll sit and eat the whole tray. So can't do that. So I only make them really when company comes over. That way they don't eat the whole tray. But ooh, I'm gonna resist the urge to eat another bite. I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. And I hope you try these recipes out for yourself at home. That's why we're showing these videos, showing you how to do these things at home for yourself to motivate you to become more self-reliant. I think it's going to be it is super important for you to be able to have these skills coming up in the future. Now, honestly, to buy a tray of cinnamon rolls at the grocery store is outrageous. So to make this is super, super inexpensive, and honestly, it's way more delicious. So I hope you'll enjoy the video. If you do, please don't hesitate to like and subscribe and share it with your friends and family. I'm Christa with the Big Family Homestead, and you have a blessed and amazing day.